भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. This is not on. Yeah. I turned it on. There. We missed the obvious. That is all this knowledge is all about. So this selection of verses is called Pratijna Gita, the Gita of promise. The word Pratijna has many meanings. It means, for example, a thesis statement, Pratijna, like Sadeva Somya Idamagre Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam. This is how the 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad begins. Idam Agre. Before this Jagat came into being, it was. What was it? In the form of Sat. This is a huge statement. It has to be in the subsequent portions of the text, unfolded, discovered, understood, assimilated. So you begin with a small capsule of a statement and then you unfold that. It is called Pratijna. Sometimes it is called Mahapratijna because that's the only statement that has to be unfolded and all other statements subserve this statement. That is one meaning of the word Pratijna. Another meaning, a straightforward meaning, Rudhi Artha, is called promise. We are always looking for promises. Every jiva looks for a promise. The parent says to the child, do your homework, you will get a treat. What does the child say? Promise? Everything is a promise. If you do well in school, you will go to the next class. It's a promise. If you do well in the exams, you will graduate. That's a promise. If you do well after graduating, you'll get a job. Promise. In fact, the marriage is a promise. All life is about promises. And all our epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, are all based on pratignyas, promises. Bhishma makes a terrible promise. That's why he's called Bhishma the Terrible, because of the promise. And that becomes the basis for the entire Mahabharata. And plus there are more promises based on Kunti making a statement. Whatever you have brought, oh Arjuna, don't disturb me, I am in the puja room. What have I told you about things that are brought into the house? It should be shared equally amongst your brothers. She was still seeing Arjuna as a small boy, I suppose. Don't fight, share. Here it's not a piece of chocolate or Vedic candy or whatever it is, but it is a wife. What to do? How to keep up the words of these kinds of ways. We find that, in fact, the whole Mahabharata is about the promise. Ramayana is about a series of promises made by Dasharatha to Kaikeyi, which he could have easily falsified. When she threw a tantrum and went into Kopa Bhavanam, translated as anger management room. This is what it should be. Every house should have anger management room. If not, anger management corner should be there. Anger management closet should be there. And so what is this anger management room? anger management room is where it was made of some kind of a transparent material. So one could be having a tantrum without hurting oneself or others. This is what it is. 1 minute he left her selecting the saris for Rama's coronation, which sari matches which set of jewelry, and another minute she was a banshee and he did not know what had come over her. She had torn her hair out, all the elaborate hairstyle had been completely disheveled. She had torn her clothes. She was in great distress. And she asked for the two boons she wanted to encash that had been given at a different time in her life. When she had helped, she was not an ordinary person. She was a great warrior. And she was a great warrior and she had sought the victory of Dasharatha against some Asuric type people. Even though the axle of the wheel of the chariot was broken, she had held the axle together with her fingers, with one hand, and with the other hand managed the horses and then led Dasharatha to victory. Because if in the middle of the battlefield the the chariot or the horse breaks down, you are as good as a loser. You have lost the battle. So Dasharatha had given her two boons. She said, I have you. I have this wonderful family. I don't need anything. If I need it later, I will ask. And then later came in the form of some kind of a misplaced jealousy because of which she couldn't see past herself. And so, in between her anger and her sobs, she was able to communicate her two boons. What were they? Rama should not be the king, her son Bharata should be the king, and the other one? Banish Rama to the forest for 14 years. That's a death sentence in those days. Even in these days, it's a death sentence. It's only nice for TV show called Wild and other things. It's not really a way to be. And in these olden days, it was definitely a death sentence because one would be the lunch of a hungry carnivore. Hyenas were there, tigers, jackals, lions, everything, cheetahs, ready to pounce. But why should Rama be sent to the forest? Because he was the rightful heir. And as long as he was there, he was like the sun that shone. He outshone everybody. Nobody would accept Bharata as the king. But then Dasharatha chooses to honor this. Give up his life, but even honor the words. So the given word has in Vedic history, in the parampara of this knowledge, in the parampara of Vedic culture, the given word has a lot of weight. Not just given by Bhagavan, given by ordinary people. Always the given word has to be kept, even at the loss, at the cost of lot of distress to oneself, even at the cost of one's own life. That's why we have stories like Harishchandra, etc. And even in the Kathopanishad, from which we saw the quotation earlier, what did we have? Nachiketa goes to Lord Yama. Again, why? Because of the promise. The father utters the word, I'm giving you to death, because he was kept on being pressured. Who are you giving me to? Who are you giving me to? Kasmai mam dasyasi. Hey tata. Oh dad, who am I going to be given to? Go to hell. He said, go to Lord Death. And then he says, no, 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 no. I didn't mean it. And this child, wise beyond his ears, says the following. Anupashya tatha pare. Anupashya tatha purve, pratipashya tatha pare. Sasyamiva martyah pachyate, sasyamiva ajayate punaha. Look around you in your, look in your ancestry. Has anybody said something they will do and not done it? And again, Vajashrava, father of, show some signs of life. Nachiketa. See, it's not so hard. Father of Nachiketa says, no, I can't find anybody who said they would do it and did not do it. Pratipashya tatha apare, look around your own contemporaries. Is anybody there that does not keep their word? Again he says no, and then he is forced to send his child to Lord Yam. The given word, even of human beings, carries a lot of weight. It is the basis for, as we have seen, the making and breaking of empires, civilizations, epics. And then, when ordinary persons are not allowed to transgress in the Vedic culture the given word, the promise, what to talk of the promise made by Bhagavan? This is the subject matter of Pratijna Gita. 8 promises made to the hapless, hopeless, helpless jiva, the jaded, faded individual thinking, I'm not capable of this. This moksha is too far, and then Starbucks is closer. I think I'll have mocha. Change my order. So this is the person, correct? And so imagine how much ashvasanam, how much reassurance a person needs through the life. Why? Because one is a series of unending complexes. I am not enough. I cannot do this. That hopelessness, which is the anyatha grahanam, which is not agrahanam. Agrahanam means the agrahanam means atma ajnana. Self ignorance is called agrahanam. This is anyatha grahanam. This is what is the subject matter of Mandukya Upanishad. Sometime we will study. And so in the Mandukya Upanishad, the anyatha grahanam is talked about taking myself to be not what I am. The anyatha grahanam has two phases. One is to take myself to be what I am not. That's the first problem. Second problem is not to take myself as what I am. Both those problems side by side coalesce, making oneself a mountain of complexes. Therefore, the human jiva, needs a series of reassurances. Just like the child who is learning how to walk, takes 2 steps, looks back at the mother. Are you coming? Am I okay? Am I going to fall? And the mother says, no, 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 go. I'm right behind you. This is exactly how it is. So the first verse that we chanted here is from the 40th verse of the which chapter? Second chapter. Second chapter, 40th verse. न इह न इह अभिक्रमनाशः अस्ति. This, if we have a little bit of a lay of the land of the Bhagavad Gita, we know that the second chapter talks about both Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. In fact, the Bhagavad Gita would be complete in the second chapter itself, but for the question that Arjuna asks in the third chapter, in the fifth chapter, in the 12th chapter, etc., etc., he keeps Arjuna asks these questions and keeps Lord Krishna going until all his delusion is dissolved. So, talking about Karma Yoga, this is a prashansa of Karma Yoga. Prashansa means praise of Karma Yoga, a stuti of Karma Yoga, because when Bhagavan does stuti, when Bhagavan praises something, it becomes an encouragement for me to follow. So this is a very good praise of Karma Yoga, so that I can follow it in my life, along with a promise that when you follow this, wonderful things will happen. And so, what is this? Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a path of growth, keeping Ishvara in front. I don't do things for the fulfillment of raga dveshas. What do I do them for? For my own self growth. That is what we mean by growing from a person who does what they like, when they like, how they like, to a person who does whatever there is to do, whatever likes, whatever there is to do. A young girl, 8, 10 years old, asked Pujya Swamiji once this question. He said, Swamiji, what is your favorite activity? She had observed Swamiji doing so many things throughout the day, very intelligent, and she asked this very innocent and beautiful question. And Swamiji explained to her patiently that I just enjoy whatever it is that I have to do. He explained to her in a way that she could understand. And so, this is the opposite of what is there in one's life. We go from one source of comfort to another source of comfort to one more comfortable situation, and it is swabhava. To what is the swabhava? A kind of a proclivity to avoid uncomfortable situations and go towards comfortable situations. I always want to do that. But here, one does not make it a point to seek out comfortable situations. One learns to be comfortable in whatever situation one finds oneself. For this, prayer is needed. For this, the whole lifestyle has to do Shirshasana. It has to do a headstand, completely opposite of what I have been doing so far. I have to learn to let let go. I have to learn to not make raga dvesha fulfillment, yoga kshema fulfillment my priority, and I have to be okay with what is and learn to see what is as Ishvara. So, when to start the Karma Yoga and how to do this Karma Yoga? Should I look for an auspicious Muhurtam? Should I look at the Vedic almanac in order to say, okay, I am starting Karma Yoga at this particular time on this auspicious day? All these myths and all these things that maybe I'm not starting because of a certain diffidence, hesitation, all these things are laid to rest in the first promise. Na iha abhikramanashaha asti. So, na iha means in this context. Which context? Karma Yoga. And what is this Karma Yoga? Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva labhau labha labhau jaya jayau samatvam yoga uchyate. First definition of Karma Yoga, equanimity is yoga. Equanimity what? Towards the, not towards action, but towards the receiving the results of action. Equanimity is the attitude with which I receive the results of action because they are coming from Bhagavan. First definition. Second definition of Karma Yoga, Yogaha Karmasu Kaushalam. Also in that same area of the second chapter. Often translated inadequately as skill in action is yoga. Skill in action means what? Even a pickpocket is skilled. Yeah. That's why you don't even know you have been robbed. Is the pickpocket a karma yogi? Say no, so we will move on. What is the difference here? So, here the karma yoga cannot be done without having dharma in the forefront, because dharma, as we see, is not a mandate of Ishvara but a manifestation of Ishvara. Because everybody here is a student of home study, I'm covering a lot of ground very succinctly so that we can get through the verses. This is just a revision. Okay. And so, yogaha karmasu kaushalam means the skill here. If there is a skill, dakshata, if there is an aptitude, the aptitude is to be able to interpret samanya dharma in vishesha situations, in every situation. I am in the unenviable situation of having to interpret the dharma, because dharma is not static, it is dynamic. And human beings, being equipped with free will, we encounter so many situations where this dharma needs to be interpreted repeatedly. Second definition of karma yoga. And yes, there is also a third definition that comes in the 23rd verse of the 6th chapter, which is what? Dukkha samyoga viyogaha yogaha iti uchyate. Tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogaha yoga samyitam sanishchayena yoktavyaha. This must be definitely be done. What is this? Dukkha samyoga viyoga, conscious dissociation from association with sorrow. It is called yoga, karma yoga. What do you mean association with sorrow? Association with sorrow happens out of habit. And here what? I get out of that habit. And that is what is, these are the three definitions of yoga. When to start? And then, of course, everything is not linear. Let's say I built up the courage to start karma yoga when? Day before yesterday. Day before yesterday was an auspicious day. I started karma yoga. Yesterday also I managed. But today what happened? Don't ask. I had a meltdown. American English is very wonderful sometimes. Meltdown describes it all. I had to be taken out of the room in buckets. Total meltdown. Lost it. And then what? That was today. So tomorrow, then there will be a lot of hesitation. How can I get back on the karma yoga track? Because why? I have fallen off. I have been derailed. By what? By some karma phala coming in the way. Something came in the way. Some other people's behavior, which is again my karma phala. Something which I could not predict, led me to a place of emotional dysregulation. This is what is samsara, a series of people having emotional dysregulation at the same time. And that is what first it is cooking everybody's emotional dysregulation, and then it leads to a meltdown. After the cooking reaches a boiling point, that is when the meltdown takes place. So then, how to get back on this track? There is a hesitation. Okay, I am a bad karma yogi. Bhagavan says no. Na iha, in this context, abhikramanashaha nasti. Abhikramanashaha means there is no slippage. Even if I have taken a break from karma yoga, why? Not because of choice, but because of difficulties in managing my emotions. I forgot I was a karma yogi. I forgot that I was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. I forgot everything that was said in chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 6, etc., etc. Then what? You are not condemned. You get back on track very easily. Why? Because that is what the Bhagavan here promises that. If there is no auspicious moment to start it, there is no slippage from it. Because the slippage is as though dhyayati iva, lelayati iva, dhyayati iva. as though meditates and focuses and concentrates. Leilayati, as though distracted. There's no such thing. It's all you. And so, therefore, you are already in the groove. Some emotions, like a tsunami, like a earthquake, like a tornado, as though took you away. But it is easy to get back on track because there are no consequences. This is so nice to hear. There are absolutely no consequences of what? Slipping from karma yoga. Is there a punishment? No. Pratyavaya na vidyate. Pratyavaya is a technical term. Pratyavaya means Pratyavaya dosha. Means that supposing there are certain things which we have to do called nitya karma. Nitya karma we can take as getting up in the morning, brushing teeth, taking a shower. Nitya karma. If you don't do these things, then what? Despite wearing a mask, you will be friendless. Nobody will sit next to you after a few days. Nitya karma, correct? And so pratyavaya is like that. Here it's in the Vedic context, it's in the form of religious religious duties. Nitya karma, worship and giving to people and all these things. Whatever one has to do, nitya karma, naimittika karma. The funny thing about nitya karma is that when you do it, you don't get punya. Like, for example, nobody gives you some kind of an award. Oh, you brushed your teeth this morning. How wonderful. Clap, clap, clap. What an achievement. Nobody praises you. But if you don't do it, you get the consequences immediately. Nitya karma, when it is done, it is not rewarded. When it is not done, then you attract a fallacy called pratyavaya dosha, a papa. So karma yoga, when it is done, of course it is not rewarded. The reward is instantaneous in the form of your own feeling of satisfaction and inner growth. And when it is not done, does Bhagavan become angry and cause papa? No. The spelling of Pratyavaya is not known to in this matter of Karma Yoga. When you slip away from Karma Yoga, then what? No papa is incurred. Isn't that nice to hear? Promise of Bhagavan. This is the beautiful thing. That means what? I can have a lapse. I can be a jiva, an unenlightened jiva, steeped in Atma Ajnanam, and I can have a zigzag path to moksha. Not a straight linear path. I can go back and forth, up and down, one step forward, and many, many steps backward without any consequences, without condemnation, without fear of being condemned by Bhagavan, because that is the worst condemnation. If Bhagavan had said, imagine how it would be if Bhagavan had said, Karma Yoga or else. Everybody would be scared. Puk, 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 puk. We would all be scared. Oh my God, I have slipped. And then there would be a support group of people permanently banished from Karma Yoga. And thankfully, that is not necessary because just like a small child trying to get on something and then failing, and then what? You try again, you try again. In fact, the whole life is for this trial, and the trial is free of error. We usually put the two terms together. What? Trial and error. Here, the beauty is this is a whole life of trial. The journey itself is one trial after the other without any errors. Karma Yoga is not a mistake. Even if you slip from Karma Yoga, it is not a mistake. It is trial without error. Abhikramanashah na asti pratyavayah na vidyate. But. What other buts do you have? Isn't this enough of a reassurance? No, because what if I'm only a 5% karma yogi? 5% कर्म योगी means what? कभी कभी मेरे दिल में कर्म योग का ख्याल आता है. Sometimes, once in a while, I remember karma yoga. Not always. I don't even know what to do. Suddenly one day I remember. And then that day goes well because I say, oh, this is for my own growth. I'm going to grow. I'm going to decide to grow out of raga and dvesha. And I'm going to not follow my binding desires and lead me to certain difficulties. I'm going to learn to be free of them. Just one day I do it. Even one day in a year I do it. New Year's resolution. From January 1st, I'm going to be what? Karma Yogi. How long does it last? Until January 1st. So, what to do? Nothing to do. It is okay. Because even if you are, see, there are two ways of being an imperfect Karma Yogi. You can be a kabhi kabhi Karma Yogi, once in a while Karma Yogi. Suddenly you remember, suddenly you go to one talk, suddenly all the things come back, suddenly you say, I'm going to leave my raga behind, and then you're able to leave the raga behind. That is one way of incomplete karma yogi or imperfect karma yogi. Another way of being an imperfect karma yogi is certain ragas are easier to leave behind than others, and those ragas I will leave behind. The other ragas don't leave me behind, so they have a hold over me. I don't have a hold over them. So, in any case, this way also I'm an incomplete karma yogi, and so then that means what? I'm a bad karma yogi. I'm feeling bad about myself. No, not at all. Swalpamapi asya dharmasya. Dharma here is this karma yoga. Swalpamapi. So alpam. Even a tiny bit, if I catch hold of this way of life, and the way of life entails conscious initiation of self growth as compared to the conscious choice of the results of action. Because I have discovered an important thing. What is it that I have discovered? The results of action are not in my hands. Are they in my hands? No, they're not in my hands. Only action is in my hands. Result of action, I'm not the manufacturer of the results of action. The manufacturer is who? Ishvara, Bhagavan. And therefore, I'm not going to break my head trying to manufacture results of action. I'm going to purify the action and the impetus behind the action, which is my own raga dvesha. So instead of focusing on the result of action, I'm going to focus on my own inner growth. Inner growth cannot happen without sacrificing the ragas, without sacrificing the dveshas, without sacrificing the results of action. In any growth, there is sacrifice. What if it's an incomplete sacrifice? It's like people going to Kashi. People go to Varanasi. When you go to Varanasi, you make a small pratigna there and give up what one does not like. You go there and give it up. And then people usually go there and say, I'm giving up Karela, bitter gourd. The person did not like it anyway. I will never touch neem leaves. Who is eating neem leaf? That's a kind of cheating in any way. So that's not what is talked about here. So, but still, I'm that kind of karma yogi. Few ragas I can give up, like Karela, don't want. Certain things I can give up, certain things not on your life. I cannot give them up. So that means what? I can't be on this path because I cannot give up all these things. Bhagavan says, you are on this path, you are okay. These things we want to really hear. Even that's why even another person validating one is very, very welcome. Any validation is very, very welcome. Not even from the person. Even if the dog looks at me and wags its tail, I feel validated. Oh, the dog likes me, loves me. What to talk of the validation coming from the source, from Ishvara, from Bhagavan. Bhagavan himself is validating Swalpamapi Asya Dharmasya. When even a karma yoga incompletely followed, imperfectly done, sometimes followed, hesitatingly followed, full of shortcomings, is still better than what? No karma yoga at all. Trayate protects. Tra to protect. Trayate protects. From what? Mahataha bhayat trayate. Bhaya means what? Fear. Mahato bhayat means from great fear. Fear is a symptom of samsara. Samsara has two symptoms, fear and sorrow. These are the symptoms of samsara. So if there is fear, that means it is a manifestation of samsara. When there is sorrow, it is seen as a manifestation of samsara. That is how the Upanishads divide themselves as focusing primarily on either shoka nivritti, Chandogya Upanishad, for example, 7th chapter, which we are going to study for the uh, Christmas retreat, year-end retreat at the Gurukulam. That focuses on shoka nivritti. Shoka means some shoka or the other. It leads to shoka, sorrow. Whereas in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a focus on bhaya nivritti. Nivritti means freedom. Freedom from fear. Abhayam pratishtham vindate tataha saha bhayangato bhavati, becomes free of sorrow. That is the that is what is the uh, understanding there. So the Upanishads are also focused either on, sometimes both, but generally we find that predominantly bhaya nivritti or predominantly focused on shoka nivritti. So trayate mahato bhaya. What is this mahan bhaya? What is this great fear? Great fear here is called samsara. That is the great fear. In the Gita Dhyana Shloka also, we see the Pandavas crossing the Rana Nadi, the river of battle, which has as its banks Bhishma and Drona, which has, or what kind, sharks, which has in the form of all these villains of the Mahabharata, these villainous beings, Rakshasas, sharks, eddies, whirlpools, undercurrents, and all these things. How did they cross? Because there is Daivam. What is this Daivam? Kaivartakaha Keshavaha. Lord Krishna happens to be the ferryman, ferrying across this river of samsara, trapping one at every corner. And Karma Yoga is, since it is given by Lord Krishna, where? in the Ishavasyopanishad. What is said in the Bhagavad Gita is just a uh, restatement of what is there in the Upanishad. In the Ishavasyopanishad, the two lifestyles are put very, very succinctly in the first two lines. Tena tyaktena bhunjithaha. Protect the self by giving up everything. How to protect the self? Protect the Atma by giving up Anatma. En masse. It's just you and the sky. Oh no, no, that's scary. Okay, then the two lifestyles. The second lifestyle is Kurvan Iha Karmani Jiji Vishe. Keep doing what you're doing. You have many dreams and ambitions to follow. Follow Dharma while following the ambitions. And then, even as you follow the ambitions, let the focus be on self growth. If it happens, well and good. If it doesn't happen, even better. That should be the way. So, this is such a lifestyle, such a beautiful lifestyle. Nowhere else we'll find this. And the same Karma Yoga, which is talked in one line in the Ishavasya Upanishad, is developed fully and completely unfolded in the Bhagavad Gita. And following this imperfectly, incompletely, kabhi kabhi, once in a while, is still better than not following it at all. Saves one from the bhaya. Bhaya here means the bhaya of samsara, samsara bhaya. And what is samsara? Where is samsara? Right here is samsara. In between the two temples is samsara. What is the definition of samsara? Some sorrow or the other. Yes. That is samsara. That's all it is. And so, where is this sorrow? Sorrow cannot be outside of you. If it is outside of you, how come you are sad? No, 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 sorrow is inside of me. If the sorrow is inside of you, then you should be sad all the time. You should be crying in your sleep also. But that's not true. In sleep, you are not a sorry fellow at all. Sorrow is neither inside nor outside. It is, as we say, centered on the self. What kind of a self? The wrong understanding of myself as a finite, limited human being, as a limited and individual full of complexes. That is where the sorrow is centered on, and this is not being the truth of myself, then there is no sorrow at all to speak of. And so this samsara, which is bhaya, is the feeling of alienation from Ishvara. That is the bhaya. I am all alone. In this world, in this life, I'm all alone. That's not true. Look around you, there are so many people. But even in a crowd, one can be lonely, correct? Why? Because that loneliness is from this sense of alienation from other jivas, from the Jagat, from the universe, and from Ishvara. How do I go about bridging this gap between myself, the world, and God? How do I do this? Where do I begin? How do I understand and overcome this fear of loneliness? Here it says Karma Yoga is the bridge. Why? Because Karma Yoga is a manifestation of Ishvara. And when I use my action in order to grow out of this alienation, that is when I become free of fear that I am all alone, I am not validated, I am not understood, none of which are true. And so this is samsara bhaya, thinking I am alone. What is the cause of samsara bhaya? Atma ajnanam, of course. And also seeing three in place of one. What is the three? Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. Because of this duplicate, when I see two in place of one, who sees two in place of one? When one is intoxicated, the vision and the vision of delusion is the vision of division. This is what happens in the rural India. We don't have breathalyzer and all this in those areas. So the person is dragged from the vehicle, usually a bullock cart, because the person is driving badly. And excuse me, the person is told, what is the person told? How many fingers? This is the test. 2, 3. And they take him to the lockup just to spend the night so that they are not a danger on the road. That's how it is. When one is intoxicated by ragadveshas, one sees two, one sees many in place of one. And so, correcting this vision requires exposure to the Shastra, and exposure to the Shastra is of no use unless I have the readiness, unless I develop the readiness to be and the commitment to be able to see one in place of 3, 4, 5, etc. and get and lose this bhaya. So, this commitment to duality is the cause of sorrow, and I drop the commitment. The commitment to duality is easily dropped even by the incomplete and imperfect karma yogi. Very, very beautiful. And what does this entail? This entails a certain understanding. In order to do that, I need a understanding. And what is that understanding? That even if the whole world drops me, Ishvara has my back. Whatever I think of Ishvara, Yadrishosi Mahadeva, Tadrishaya Namo Namaha, whoever you are, however you are, I don't know who you are. But then don't let me go because I am still a fledgling, not ready to leave the nest. And if you kick me out of the nest, where will I go? This is the next question that comes. You see how the human mind is. One assurance has been given, we don't say, ah, wonderful. In fact, don't finish the retreat. I am already assured. Even one of these verses of Pratijna Gita is enough. In fact, this is what in the morning Shuddhatma ji called me and said, oh, you're not well. Just go to the retreat, he said, and then finish it off in one day and come. Don't go the next day. I said, Surekha and Praveen will come after you with a stick if I do that. So we can all decide. We can say, oh, just one verse is enough because I'm assured I'm fine. Because Bhagavan says, Trayate Mahato Bhayat, I'm okay. No, but this Bhagavan should, I need a little more assurance because why? Now I'm not just worried about this life. I'm worried not only about here, but what else? Hereafter. Hereafter. After here, fir kya? This is the thing. We have a fir kya itis. You know what happens after this? Yeah. इसके बाद फिर क्या फिर क्या फिर क्या what next what next what next okay trayate mahato bhayat I'm okay here but then you know what I went to 3 Vedanta classes in this life and next time I have to start from KG and that reassurance comes in the next verse not in the next verse chronologically but in the next verse arranged by Swami Shivananda Maharaj and so that is the that is no it is 640 240 and 640 I think numbering is wrong somewhere. Yeah, that's what it is. Numbering is wrong. 640 the next one is and what is let us chant Parthanaivehanamudra. It still has a funeral quality. So wake up a little and I know you know how to chant, okay? पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र
पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र
विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते
नासस्तस्य
न
विद्यते
हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित्
कल्याणकृत् कश्चित्
दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति
दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति
पार्थ नैवेह
देह
नामुत्र
नामुत्र
नाशस्तस्य
नासस्तस्य
विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति. Everything is covered in the next promise. Hey Partha, Prithayaha Putra. O Arjuna, son of Kunti, who is also known as Pritha. It's very interesting how, if we can even make a nice analysis of how Bhagavan addresses Arjuna. Whenever Arjuna is afraid and filled with fear, he is called Kaunteya, Partha, Mama's boy. Catching hold of the apron string. And when he's feeling very good about himself, when he shouldn't be feeling good about himself. Hey Mahabaho, you may be an invincible warrior in front of all these people. Jahi Shatrum. Conquer the enemies where? Kamarupam Durasadam. The inner enemy is conquered. That is how the third chapter comes to a close. Hey Mahabaho. Very interesting. They're not accidental. So here there is fear. And the context of this is Arjuna has a question at the end of the 6th chapter. And Arjuna says plaintively, you know, I have listened to 5.5 chapters. 6th chapter is not yet complete. I have listened to 5.5 chapters of sheer pure Vedanta with Karma Yoga, everything. So it's like a question which you ask sometimes. In India, this is common, much more common than here. You meet somebody at a party and you find out they are a doctor. Actually, it's you who has that ailment, but you say what? A friend. You know, my friend has this problem. What would you advise? A therapist, a doctor, is asked a question indirectly. Arjuna asks it in the same way. Ayatihi Shraddhayopetah Vedachalita Yogachalita Manasah Kangating Krishna Gachati Chinnabhramiva Nashyati Kim Shraddhaya Upetah. Let us say a hypothetical person. Some person has this problem. Actually, it's Arjuna's problem. But he's afraid to own it up. Let's say somebody has this problem. Because why is he afraid to own it up? He doesn't want to tell Bhagavan that it has not gone in fully. He's afraid to say, this is my problem. Ayatihi Shraddhaya Upetah. Full of Shraddha. No doubt that this I am Satchidananda, this is what Bhagavan says, there is Bhagavan, there is no doubt, and this is the knowledge of the Atman, there is no doubt that this knowledge should be pursued, there is no doubt that I need to pursue this knowledge, there is no doubt that Guru is necessary, certain attitudes, values are necessary, there is no doubt. Then what is the problem? Ayatihi alparthe nanj. Ayatihi means not enough yatna has been pursued by whom? Such a person is called ayatihi. Ayatihi means has put the effort. Again, kabhi kabhi, once in a while. Has not put enough effort to study Vedanta, has not been has been full of Shraddha, but hasn't fully completed the pursuit. Kangatim Krishna. Kangatim Krishna Gachati. Hey Tata. Oh Krishna, what will be such a person's future hereafter? Chinna Brahmiva Nashyati Kim. Chinna Brahm means like the fog which dissipates with the rising sun. Will the knowledge of chapters 1 through 6, 5.5, will it go like the fog? In the next birth, who remembers what? Nobody remembers anything. I don't know whether I was a dog and whether I had puppies and where those puppies are, how those puppies are reborn, I don't know. What was I before the dog's life? I don't know. I don't know anything. Similarly, I was a student of Vedanta, kabhi kabhi Vedanta, kabhi kabhi Karma Yoga, and now what? All gone. A for Atma, I have to study all over again. B for Brahman, C for Chit, D for Dharma, E for Eshana. We can go on. But you get the point. I have to study the ABCD of Vedanta all over again. फिर से KG. Permanently in Vedanta KG. Who would like that? Very difficult to fail in KG, but supposing there are no expectations in KG. But supposing the teacher says you have failed in KG, very sad. Child may not be sad, but the parents are very sad. So here, this is Arjuna's worry. This is not just Arjuna's worry. This is why we love Arjuna so much. It is every person's worry. Will this help me in my next life? Supposing I know that I don't have it all to not have a next life. In fact, that should not be our worry. About next life or not, do you know? I mean, are we in charge? No. We should not worry about whether to have a next life or not. We should just make sure that if there is a next life, it should be there as a human being. And this is the assurance that is given. Nahi kalyana krit. Kalyana krit means the one who has done something auspicious. Oh, the one who has done a lot of pujas. No. One who has done a lot of yajnas. No. One who has gone to temples. No. The one who has built temples. No. Who is Kalyanakrit? According to Ishvara, according to Bhagavan, Kalyanakrit is the one who has studied Vedanta, who has led a life of Dharma. Kalyanakrit, Dharma means Karma Yoga. Without Dharma, there is no Karma Yoga. Without Ishvara, there is no Karma Yoga. The one who has led a life of Karma Yoga, the one who has led a life of righteousness, that is, and the one who has had exposure to Vedanta, perhaps not enough to tip the scales of Atma Ajnanam, but enough to be on this path, is never. Just like when you were alive, when the person was alive, the person was promised in the 40th verse of the second chapter that the person will not stray away from Karma Yoga ever. Similarly, you don't stray away from Atma Jnanam ever. Once on the path of Atma Jnanam, whether you like it or not, always on the path of Atma Jnanam until this Atma Ajnanam is let go of completely, until it totally drops off, dissipates. And this is the second and most welcome assurance. Na iha, na amutra. Neither here, amutra means, nor elsewhere. Because you see, elsewhere we don't have it is all based on Shraddha. Is there an elsewhere? Is there a hereafter? There is no proof. In fact, it's a series of non-verifiable beliefs. That I will survive death. Non-verifiable belief number one. That I will go to various places depending on my karma. Non-verifiable belief number 2. That I will be that I will go to all these places and like it there. That is non-verifiable belief number 3. That I will be reborn. Non-verifiable belief number 4. It's all based on Shraddha. Shraddha towards the Veda leads me to understand this. This is what it is. Non-verifiable beliefs. But it is the Shraddha that allows me to accept this. Because not accepting this is a costly mistake. So if I say that this is the fun part about a belief. So supposing somebody says, I believe in God. It's a belief, right? Because the God is not going to come here, whatever the concept of God the person believes in, or that God is not going to come here to either confirm or deny the existence. So if I say I believe in rebirth, I believe in God, what is that? A belief. If I say I don't believe in rebirth, what is that? A belief. This we have to understand. These people don't understand this. I don't know why. If it is a non verifiable belief, whether you believe it or not, it's still a belief. If I say I believe in rebirth, it is simply a belief. If I say I do not believe in rebirth, that is also what? It's not a fact, it's a belief. If we understand this already, it looks a lot brighter. We get over a major hurdle that people generally have in the path, in this path of Vedanta, spiritual growth, inner growth, etc. So here, all these things are presented which I have no way to either confirm or deny. Those means are not available to me. And so the Upanishad tells us that one thing we can do is use Shruti Anukula Yukti, a logic that is in keeping with the Shruti to help ourselves to assimilate this. And the Chandogya Upanishad makes a very beautiful and helpful statement. Yad yatha iha karmalokaha kshiyate. Karmachito lok kshiyate tat tatha mutra punyachito loka kshiyate. And here also we have the same words iha and amutra. And here also in this verse we have the same words iha and amutra. Iha here, amutra elsewhere. And the Chandogya Upanishad says, Yad yatha iha, just as in this world, karma chito loka punya chito loka kshiyate. Just like that, you hear, what do you have? You have certain resources. And those karmas get exhausted. And then what? The person gives up the body after that prarabdha gets exhausted. Tatha, in the same way, amutra punya chito loka kshiyate. The punya with which one gathers and travels to various lokas, that also gets exhausted. And then what? One comes back right here. Comes back. Vapas aa gaya. This is again confirmed in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Shine punye matya lokam vishanti. One returns to the world of mortals. Returning is not the problem. What is the problem? The problem is the whole feeling that I have failed KG. I have to start all over again. I have to give up ragas, I have to give up dveshas, I have to start KG of Vedanta again. And this path being difficult enough as it is, feels purposeless and feels very, very difficult, very, very, despiriting, disenchanting, if that were to be the case. Bhagavan says, that is not true, you have already fast tracked, you are in a different track. Even if you have a little bit of Vedanta, a little bit of Dharma, a little bit of Karma, Yoga on your mind, you are fast tracked into a very different track altogether. Once I was traveling with Pujya Swamiji and we were going from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. And this was soon after 9/11, and there were security checks all along. And already we were late for the flight. Again, they said, surprise check. After 3 checks were over, line was as longer than a boa constrictor, snaking through, huge line. And Swamiji looked at me and said, I don't know if we will make it. Don't know, let us see. And then suddenly, one person comes with a board. Ahmedabad, 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 follow me. Because it was time for the plane and they had a separate line to expedite the boarding because this flight was ready to take off. So very happily we left this big snaky line and we went over there. And very quickly we were cleared to board the flight. During the flight, 1 hour flight, and then afterwards, as we drove to the hotel, which is Swamiji was uncharacteristically quiet, did not say much. And I found myself thinking, wonder what he's thinking. I wish I would know what he's thinking. I really want to know what he's thinking. I didn't have to wait long enough. After a short stop at the hotel, he went straight to the place where he had to give his public talk. And he said, once one is committed, this is how he opened the talk. One is committed to the path of moksha, it is as though like flying during these troubled times. And then you're standing in this long line and somebody comes and says, Ahmedabad, Ahmedabad, just like that. In the hereafter, somebody says, moksha, 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 moksha. All the people come on this side. In a way, one is fast tracked. Then I thought, look at where the mind of a Mahatma goes. Mahamati of the Mahatma goes dwells on these topics, not on when will I reach, what will happen, will somebody be there to receive me, the flight is already late, not all these things. Very lofty and wonderful thoughts. So that made a very big impression on me because I had lived this experience with him. And I could understand this very well. That once the sights are moksha, when moksha is in sight, then that means what? You are sighted as it were by Bhagavan and you are not allowed to fall. Chyutihi na vidyate. That's why Bhagavan is called Achyuta, the one who has no fall. There is no fall at all from this. No more KG. Once you have gone into KG, it's enough. You will continue to make progress as long as one is Kalyanakrit. Durgati. Durgati means samsara gati, adhogati. One will not come to grief. One will not come to destruction. One will not come to any kind of pain once one has committed to this knowledge. Committing to this knowledge, even a little bit, even incompletely, because see, Karma Yoga is not seen as outside of Vedanta. Karma Yoga is a package deal which leads one to Vedanta. So the two are practiced together, the two are pursued together, I should say. Karma Yoga is practiced, Vedanta is listened to together. And so they are being taken here together. And together they will not only will it protect you from bhaya in this life, but it will also protect you from bhaya life after life after life. Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. And then what is na iha na eva iha na amutra vinashaha tasya vidyate. Vinashaha means destruction is not there. You don't even know how to spell destruction. There is no destruction possible at all for this person ever. And why? Because the person is Kalyanakrit. Kalyanakrit means the one who has pursued Vedanta, the one who has fortified oneself with Karma Yoga. Durgatim nagachati. There is no fall, there is no durgati, there is no nasha, there is no destruction, there is no grief for this person. Now, are you doubly reassured? Yes. Because one reassurance for this life, one reassurance for life after life, next life, and in between, whatever is there. Next one. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantim nigacchati
Shanti Nikati
kaunteya pratijanihi
Kaunteya Pratijani
bhaktah pranashyati.
Me Bhakti
Together. Kshipram bhavati
Bhavati
dharmatma
Dharmatma
svachantim
Shanti
nigacchati
Nigati
kaunteya
Pratijani
pratijanihi bhaktah pranashyati. Very important promise. Beautiful promise. It is there in the last pada. Na me bhaktah pranashyati. My devotee is never destroyed. My devotee. Anybody who is devoted not to Krishna, the avatara, or not to Mr. Krishna, but to Ishvara, which Lord Krishna here represents. My devotee is absolutely never ever is fortified and protected from destruction. Hey Kaunteya. Kaunteya means what? Kunti's child. Mama's boy. Again. Why? Because emotionally vulnerable, needing reassurance. Pratijani. Prati means from all sides. May you know for sure that somebody who calls themselves, somebody who has reminted their identity as my devotee, is never, ever, ever comes to any kind of destruction, either here or elsewhere, either in this life or in other life. Why? Because the person becomes what? Kshipram means slowly, right? No, quickly. That was the test, okay? Sanskrit test. Kshipram, quickly, quickly. In fact, we have a river called Kshipra, she who flows fast. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Quickly the person becomes what? An embodiment of dharma. Because that's what karma yoga does. Yoga makes one incapable of flouting dharma. So karma yoga makes one immune to adharma. So kshipram bhavati dharmatma. And that dharmatma, once one has dharma under the belt, then what happens? Shashvat shantim nigacchati. Dharma and shanti go together. Two kinds of shanti are described in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Shastra also. One is relative shanti. Like after chanting a shanti mantra, what do I say? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From the three sources of difficulty, I say I need some respite. Please give me respite from annoying things and people around me. Adi Bhautika Shanti. Thoughts like, I am here because I want to study. What is this idiot doing here? They are not interested in Vedanta, they are a troublemaker. Adi Bhautika Shanti, Adi Daivika Shanti, things beyond my control. Puncture on the way here, so many things can happen, all that. And then things within myself itself, Adhyatmika Shanti. These are all what is there. Relative Shanti for as long as I need to sit before getting up for the duration of the activity, whether the activity is a puja or a yajna or a class or a pravachana. This is what one prays. This is what is called relative shanti. The relative shanti which is enjoyed is just an appetizer to the absolute shanti, which is the nature of oneself, which needs to be discovered. That ananda, that which is ananta, is nothing but shanti. That shanti is described in towards the end of the second chapter. Brahma nirvanam richati. And once gaining there, this relative shanti, once you gain shanti, what happens? It is gained in time, it is lost in time. But this shanti, which is my own nature, once discovered, is never lost, in which I abide. This is what is called Shashvat Shanti. So, first is Karma Yoga, then is Atma Jnanam. The two are given together in this third promise. So, why should I do this? Why should I follow Karma Yoga? Why should I study Vedanta? And the phala is given because the phala itself, the phala becomes a certain kind of a reassurance in itself. Because one is phala oriented, fruit oriented. One does not need the activity, one wants the fruit. And being fruit oriented, every shloka has to have phala shruti. Shivalokam avapnoti, Shivena saha modate, gains the Shivaloka and dances with Shiva. All these things one has to say. Even to chant a simple shloka, one needs incentive. Mujhe kya milega? What will I get? So, what to talk of this pursuit called Vedanta? And so, here the promise is that absolute Shanti, which is your own nature, which you discover. And the path is very beautifully put here. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. First one becomes a PhD in dharma. One becomes dharma, an embodiment of dharma. Like even Dasharatha was faced with Kaikeyi's impossible requests. He could have just said, "Shut up, get up, lady, what booms?" Nobody else was there. Let him get the booms. Who was there? No witnesses. And it's a monarchy, it's not democracy. There is no, he is the judiciary, right? He is the executive. He is the, what is that, legislature. He's all three branches in one. Shut up, lady, get up, lady, get good rest. And we would have had a very short Ramayana. They lived happily ever after. Then the whole Aranya Kanda would not be there. Yuddha Kanda would not be there. So many chapters would have just gone. But he found himself incapable of saying that. Why? He was Dharmatma. He had mastered Dharma so much that he could not live with himself and knowing that he had made these boons and denying them. And he had every right to deny them for the sake of Loka Sangraha. He could have gotten away for the sake of the kingdom, for the sake of righteousness, but he could not do that because Dharma is Ishvara. He knew that. So, first one, like Dasharatha, masters Dharma, becomes a person who is inviolable of Dharma, cannot violate Dharma at all, at no cost. And then that leads to Shashvat Shanti. Very nice connection. Dharma gives both tranquility in the now and forever. How in the now? Because there is no conflict. One can go to sleep knowing that one has done the right thing. That is one way in which one has relative Shanti, but then that Dharma equips you to study Vedanta, equips one to study Vedanta, equipped with which knowledge one discovers oneself as the abode of Shanti, as Satchidanandam Brahma, which has no disturbance. Why? Because it is the only thing there is. There is no division, there is no duality, and it being everything, and that it being I. There is nothing to have Ashanti, there is no cause of Ashanti. And this is what it is. There is no cause of Ashanti, there is no cause of Bhaya. And then this is how it is gained, and in stages this clarity is gained. This is the path. And then what? And then And then that involves bhakti. That involves reshaping myself as a bhakta, reminting my identity as a bhakta. That is what is involved. Only then all these things become easy. And then the mm, and what is this bhakta? Why I have to reinvent myself as a bhakta? Why I have to have this bhakti? Who is the source of this bhakti? The rest of the promises will unfold. We will see that when tomorrow. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. If there are any questions, I will take a couple of questions. Online also you can ask.
How many I'll go?
Where will you go?
Question.
Oh, yeah. It is his house. Where will you go?
I have two questions. First one, I'm the exception. I failed kindergarten. And I was made to repeat once again. When we when next Janma comes, it's a Prabhala Prarabdha that defines the next life. So whatever we do now, the Jnana Marg, whatever we are, to start the next Janma, this karma may not be the Prabhala Prarabdha. My previous Janma, whatever the association I had, the likes I had, that will become Vasana and drives me there. So would that not mean that next Janma I will continue where I left with the Vedanta learning? It could be sometime, somewhere else it may come up.
The question is this, that since the force of the last desires decides the next birth, what if Vedanta is a weak desire? Will I not be still born according to the force of the karma? No, because this is clearly goes against that. Remember the example with the board, an impossible situation. We were in the to just unpack that example, we were in the regular prarabdha line, okay? And then board came, moksha, 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 moksha. Were you interested in moksha even a little bit? Come here. Fast tracked. That is the idea. And no one fails. So don't think of oneself as failed Vedanta kindergarten. No.
Another question. So following the dharma gives immediate tranquility and then tranquility forever because it puts in the part of Vedanta. Now following the dharma, we live in the association group like my wife, kids and all that. My dharma, I don't have raga dvesha. Consider I don't have raga dvesha. I said no to something which my wife likes it. So I said no for not having a raga for something. I'm doing my dharma, not doing it. But my wife has a raga and it went against her, so I lose my shanti.
It's not that kind of dharma we are talking about. We are talking of that which is absolute, not relative. Okay. So it's not about, see, in the world there will always be raga dveshas for you, which are not raga dveshas for others, which those which are not raga dveshas for others may be raga dvesha for you. That's not what we are talking. We are talking about, we are not bothered about other people. This is all about self growth. In Vedanta, we have a philosophy. You spot it, you got it. If anybody anywhere in the world is annoying, that's because there is a hook of that person inside of you. That person reminds you of you somewhere deep down. A part of you that has not come up for air, a part of you that has to be rediscovered, a part of you that has to be that has to be worked with. You spot it, you got it is Vedanta in English. Okay. And so that being the case, I learned I'm not worried about what the other family members are doing with their raga and dveshas. I am only focused on dropping my raga and dveshas, and I am focused on my dharma. I'm not policing other people whether they are following dharma or not. If I become a dharma cop, then I'm the saddest person possible. Yeah. Next. Other questions? Pratyavaya dosha. Yes. What about it?
It is clearly said in the Vedas that if you don't do what is supposed to be done,
Yeah,
there will be pratyavaya.
correct. If you don't do what is supposed to be done, there will be pratyavaya dosha. Correct.
That pratyavaya is not
Karma yoga. Yes. There is no confusion because it is very clear. Because karma yoga is a form of nitya karma that is based on your own agency and your own effort to grow. And it is not mandated by the Veda that one must do karma yoga. Where is it said? It is not said. There is will there. You have your free will. You are choosing to do karma yoga. Therefore, there is no pratyavaya. Very simple. Yeah. Pratyavaya comes when there is a mandated, what is that? Action. Some mandated, yajna mandated things like nitya karma, nahi nitya karma, prayashchitta karma, all that. If one doesn't do, then there is pratyavaya. But here, there is no mandate, which is why we are, which is why there is so much confusion about what is Hindu Dharma. Once I was being interviewed by one universal Unitarian minister, long back this was. And then she had a very rudimentary understanding of what Hindu Dharma is all about. And she said, so do Hindus have a sacred day? I thought about it. One day, Shiva. Like this, every day is a sacred day. I said, no, we don't. Then she said, do you have a particular place where you have to go and pray? I said, we can pray anywhere. We can pray at home. We can pray in the temple. We can pray in between the home and the temple. So there is, I said, no, we don't. Do you have a founder? I said, no, we don't. She got very frustrated because all the questions were coming from the standpoint of organized religions. Got very frustrated, threw her pencil down, and she said, why do you call yourself Hindus? You should call yourself Hindon'ts. So, this is why sometimes the people who follow the Vedika Dharma, are themselves confused because there are no mandates. Self growth cannot be mandated. You have to choose it. And once you choose it, you can't lose it. That's the idea. Once you choose it, it is there because the same value is there. You may be sidetracked, you may just as though fall off. But since you have chosen it, you can choose it again. There is no pratyavaya. There is no wrong thing that can come. Only wonderful punya can come as a result of using the free will freely. Otherwise, the free will is caught up in raga dveshas. We don't really use the free will. Most of the time, we lose the free will because it is hijacked by raga and dvesha. Strong preferences, strong prejudices. This is what we have to understand. Any other questions? Online, any questions are there? Let me see. There are some questions here. How to remain compassionate and open-hearted in interpersonal adversity while trying to stick to karma yoga? Very good question. Everybody has this question. And that is where, see, Puja Swamiji used to always make this joke. He would say, the strength of the person is, the human being is like a tea bag. Why? Because your strength is evident when one is put in hot water. Yeah. How strong the tea is in hot water. Similarly, when the person is in adversity, only the strength comes. Adversity is Ishvara. Really, it's a manifestation of karma. Karma is Ishvara. Adversity is Ishvara. Difficulty is Ishvara. If I have more difficulty in my life, the Karma Yogi says there is more Ishvara. More difficulty means more Ishvara. I learned to embrace the difficulties. I learned to live and circumvent the difficulties with as much integrity, dharma, and grace, acceptance that I can muster. This is the idea. It's not an overnight thing. One grows slowly into that. Then next question: how to avoid becoming closed off to others who don't agree with you or who are unsupportive of the path? Smile at them. Yeah. Keep smiling a lot. Even when one doesn't feel like smiling, when we smile, something wonderful happens. And you keep smiling at them and then just allowing them to just live. And then, after a while, it doesn't matter anymore. Keep smiling. They have found out that even with the most difficult of dementia patients, recently, I don't know why it took them so long, but they recently found out that even with the most difficult of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia patients, if the person is being aggressive, if the person is being non-cooperative, the patient, if you frown and say, "How could you do this? Why are you doing this?" they will become even more aggressive. But if you smile and say the same thing, "How could you do this? Have I not told you not to do this?" Person is immediately compliant. So, what to talk about? Thinking people, even people whose thinking is, what should I say, affected by brain damage and all these things, still they respond to smiles and to a pleasant demeanor. So, what to talk of thinking people? Definitely one will have success. Smile a lot. Accept their non acceptance of not understanding your path and be okay with that. That is what one has to do. It's not about the other, it's about oneself. Oh. Harinder, you can stop recording, okay? Yeah.
Okay, Swamiji, there is one more question
Oh, one more question
in the chat.
in the chat?
Yes,
Or did I miss it?
it just came, Swamiji.
Um, where is it?
It at the end it says, Swamiji, please forgive me.
How can dharma be defined for an individual? First definition of dharma is that which is the same for everybody. That is dharma. It is called samanya. It cannot be right that I can kill but other people should not kill. It's the same for me. What is the same for others? This is dharma. Then we have this dharma interpreted in different situations at different times. This is called Vishesha Dharma. And then a slice of Vishesha Dharma coming under, see, supposing we take Samanya Dharma as one big circle, inside that is Vishesha Dharma, another concentric circle, inside that is Swadharma. That Swadharma should, meaning Vishesha Dharma should comply with Samanya Dharma. Swadharma also is within Samanya Dharma alone. Swadharma is what is there for me to do. And again, that has two components. One is based on my roles: son, daughter, brother, sister, spouse, mother, father. Whatever roles I have to play: employer, employee, friend, neighbor, citizen. I have to play the roles. I have the script for those roles. I have to play the roles. And then the other component of Swadharma is looking at the various, what is that called, skills and potential that I have to contribute to society. That's why we are all not the same. We have different interests. We have different things that we can contribute. So getting in touch with that sometimes takes lifetimes. It's okay to do that. That is dharma. All three things together, dharma. Anything else?
Okay, we'll see tomorrow, same time.
Swamiji, some people may not come tomorrow. Give the Vedanta class to them.
Yes.